The twin suns of planet Varela burned softly over endless silver sand dunes. The wind whispered through the ruins of an old alien city buried halfway under the dust. Strange metal spires rose from the sand, glowing faintly, like dying stars refusing to go dark. Deep under those dunes slept something older than memory, an ancient alien ship that no one could awaken. For generations, the Virelans, tall, blue-skinned aliens with glowing eyes, had tried everything. Priests prayed to it. Engineers studied it. Pilots sat in its empty cockpit hoping it would respond. But the ship never moved. It was said to be cursed, a relic of the builders, a forgotten race even the stars no longer remembered. Lyra stood on the edge of the dig site, dust coating her silver hair. She was young, curious, and a scholar of ancient machines. Her eyes shone with wonder as she stared at the giant craft. Its hull shimmered like dark glass, covered in glowing symbols that no one could read. "The ship of gods," whispered one of the workers beside her. "No living being can touch it and survive." Lyra didn't believe that. She had spent years studying old texts that spoke of the key of flesh, a being who could awaken the ship when the galaxy was ready again. Still, when the dig supervisor shouted that a human was arriving to examine the site, even Lyra frowned in confusion. "A human? From Earth?" she asked. "What would they know about this?" The supervisor shrugged. "Apparently, this human is a pilot and a mechanic. He says he can understand old tech. Let him try. We have nothing to lose." Hours later, a small shuttle landed, stirring up clouds of dust. Out stepped a man in a dusty brown flight jacket, his face hidden by a dark visor. He looked ordinary, smaller than the towering aliens, but something about the way he moved, calm, sure, steady, made Lyra pause. "Name's Ethan," he said, pulling off his visor and giving a polite nod. "Heard you've got yourself a sleeping beauty here." The aliens exchanged uncertain looks. They didn't trust humans. To them, humans were newcomers, barely able to leave their own system. What could one man from Earth possibly do that thousands of scientists couldn't? Lyra decided to greet him herself. "I'm Lyra, a researcher of ancient languages. This ship has resisted every command. It is alive but silent." Ethan smiled faintly. "Alive, huh? Let's see what she's trying to say." He walked up to the massive craft, his boots crunching on the sand. The guards tensed, ready to pull him back if he tried anything reckless. Lyra held her breath. Ethan reached out, brushing his hand against the hull. The metal felt warm, too warm. A faint vibration traveled through his fingertips. Suddenly, the ship hummed. The ground trembled. The glowing runes across its surface lit up one by one, spreading outward like veins of light. A deep, resonant sound filled the air. A heartbeat that had been silent for centuries now pulsing again. The workers shouted in panic. The guards raised their rifles. But Ethan didn't move. The light didn't burn him. It wrapped around him gently, like it recognized him. Lyra gasped. "It's responding to him." The supervisor yelled, "Step away from it, human." "You'll die!" Ethan turned his head slightly. "I don't think so," he said softly. "She's waking up." The ship's door, sealed for 1,000 years, began to open with a deep groaning sound. Inside, faint blue light spilled out, casting ghostly shadows. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars. The temperature dropped, and the alien symbols rearranged themselves on the hull, now forming a shape that looked eerily like a human handprint. Lyra could barely speak. "Impossible," she whispered. "Only the first builders could do that." Ethan looked back at her. "Who were they?" She swallowed hard. "No one knows. They built wonders across the galaxy, then they vanished." "We thought they were gods," Ethan chuckled softly. "Maybe they were just like me, curious and stupid enough to touch something glowing." But Lyra didn't laugh. Her heart was pounding. There was something ancient in the air now, something watching. She could feel it. The ship's interior lights flickered brighter. A voice, soft and broken, echoed faintly from within. It spoke in a language older than time. The translator on Lyra's wrist flickered, struggling to decode it. Then, in a whisper, the message appeared on her screen. "Key detected. The gate shall open." Lyra stared at the translation, her throat dry. She turned toward Ethan, her voice trembling. "The ship thinks you're—" "The key." The wind picked up around them, carrying sand into the air. The suns dimmed behind the storm clouds. Ethan stood still, staring at the open doorway glowing before him. He didn't understand what was happening, but somewhere deep inside it felt familiar. The alien soldiers shouted again, warning him not to enter. But Ethan took one slow step forward. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, the ship's engines rumbled, shaking the ground with power. Lyra's eyes widened. She whispered to herself, "The ship that slept for centuries has chosen a human." And as the storm raged over the desert, the legend of the builders was reborn. The ground still trembled long after the ancient ship awoke. Dust and sparks filled the air while the alien soldiers surrounded the glowing craft, weapons raised and eyes wide with fear. None of them dared to get close. Only Lyra stood there, frozen between disbelief and wonder, watching the human who had just done the impossible. Ethan stood at the open doorway of the ship, his hand resting against the smooth wall of the entrance. The light around him pulsed softly, almost like it was breathing with him. Every time his heart beat, the ship seemed to echo it. The alien guards shouted warnings, but Ethan didn't even flinch. Lyra rushed toward him, shouting over the wind, "Stop, you can't go in." "It's not safe." Ethan turned his head, giving her a small grin. "I'll be careful," he said calmly, his voice steady but curious. "Feels like she's waiting for me." "She?" Lyra echoed, her voice trembling. "That thing has destroyed every person who tried to step inside." "You can't," but it was too late. Ethan had already crossed the threshold. The moment his boots touched the metal floor inside, the glow intensified. The ancient walls lit up with strange patterns that moved like rivers of light, forming symbols that none of the aliens had ever seen before. The air inside the ship felt heavy, like it remembered every soul that had once walked there. Lyra hesitated for a heartbeat, then followed him. Inside, everything was alive. The corridors curved like they were grown, not built. Smooth metal pulsed faintly with a blue hue. In the center chamber sat the control seat, shaped like a cocoon floating slightly above the floor. The symbols on its surface shifted the moment Ethan stepped near. He reached out, and to Lyra's shock, the ship responded instantly. The seat unfolded like it was welcoming him home. The walls brightened, and faint voices whispered in an old alien language. Lyra's wrist translator beeped wildly as it tried to process the words. After a few seconds, it displayed the message, "Welcome, descendant of the builders. The ship awaits command." Her heart skipped a beat. "Descendant?" she whispered. Ethan glanced at her, raising an eyebrow. "What's it saying?" Lyra looked at him, her throat tight. "It thinks you're part of the builders. But that's not possible. The builders vanished long before humans even left their homeworld." Ethan chuckled softly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Guess they left something behind." He sat in the pilot's seat. The moment he did, the ship came alive. Panels floated up from the floor. Holographic stars appeared all around them, forming a 3D map of the galaxy. Energy lines pulsed through the walls, and the air hummed like a heartbeat rising from sleep. Outside, the alien soldiers shouted as the ship began to shake. The engines, silent for centuries, roared back to life. The ground beneath the site split open from the pressure, sending waves of sand flying in every direction. Lyra stumbled back, clutching a console for balance. You're flying it!" Ethan grinned nervously, trying to steady his hands on the glowing controls.
"I think it's flying itself."
The ship lifted slowly into the sky, sand swirling below like a storm. The aliens outside scattered, some falling to their knees, others running in terror. None of them had ever seen a ship move like that, smooth, graceful, as if gravity meant nothing. Lyra looked around in awe. The symbols on the walls changed faster now, flashing images of strange faces, humanoid but not quite human. They looked like the builders, creatures of both alien and human features. Her eyes widened as she whispered to herself, "Maybe humans are part of them. Maybe that's why it responds to him." Ethan's voice broke her thoughts. "These controls, they're showing me something. It's like I can feel what the ship wants. It's not just buttons, it's thoughts." Lyra blinked, amazed. "It's a neural system. It connects to the pilot's mind. No one else could link with it, but you can?" Ethan nodded slowly. "It's strange. Feels like coming home." The ship climbed higher through the clouds. Below them, flashes of light from alien weapons tried to reach them, but the ship's shield shimmered and absorbed every hit like raindrops. Lyra stepped closer to him, her fear slowly turning into fascination. "Do you know what this means? If you really are connected to this ship, then everything we believed about the builders is wrong. Humans might be part of their story." Ethan looked at her, his face serious now. Then maybe I need to find out why it chose me. Before Lyra could reply, the holographic galaxy around them zoomed in on a single point, a hidden system far beyond any known star maps. The ship spoke again, the voice clearer this time. Destination, the gate of origin. Course set. Lyra froze. The gate of origin? She whispered. That's only a legend. The place where the builders vanished. Ethan's hands tightened on the controls. Guess we're about to find out if legends are real. The engines flared brighter. Outside, thunder cracked across the sky as the ship's power surged. Lyra's pulse raced as she realized the truth. This human, this ordinary pilot, had just become the key to rewriting the history of two worlds. And as the ship vanished into the clouds, the alien world below could only watch in stunned silence. The impossible had happened. The human had awakened the god's machine. And now the galaxy would never be the same again. The sky above Varela split open like a living storm. Clouds twisted in wild spirals as the ancient ship rose higher, glowing with blue fire. The sound it made wasn't like engines, it was like a song, deep and powerful, echoing through the atmosphere. Every creature on the planet felt it. Every radio, every sensor, every mind trembled at its return. Inside the cockpit, Ethan gripped the controls. The panels shimmered, responding to his thoughts more than his hands. It was as if the ship could read his instincts. When he wanted to rise, it lifted. When he leaned forward, it surged ahead. The old ship wasn't fighting him, it was guiding him. Lyra watched, half in terror, half in wonder. No one should be able to control it like this, she said softly. The ship destroyed everyone who tried before. Ethan gave a short laugh, though his voice shook slightly. Then maybe it's decided to give me a chance. Through the glass dome above them, the world of Varela spread out below, a glowing desert. Mountains carved with alien runes and deep shadows of long-forgotten cities. But there was something else, something following them. Lyra glanced at a glowing screen. Ethan, look! Several alien warships were rising fast from the horizon. Their engines blazed red, cutting through the dust clouds. The Council had sent its fleet. They couldn't allow a human to take control of the builder's ship. They think I stole it, Ethan muttered. And they're not wrong. Lyra's voice grew tense. They'll destroy us to protect their history. Then let's not make it easy. The ship's display changed, showing strange symbols moving across the screen. Ethan touched one, and instantly the ship responded. Blue shields flared around them, energy rippling like waves of water. The alien ships opened fire. Plasma bolts shot across the sky, but each one splashed harmlessly against the shield, lighting up the clouds in bursts of light. Lyra held on to the seat as the craft twisted sharply. How are you doing this? Ethan stared ahead. I don't know, he said, his voice low. It's like the ship knows what's coming before I do. The ancient vessel dived through the canyons below, racing between jagged cliffs. The alien fleet followed, their engines roaring, lasers slicing through the narrow path. Ethan maneuvered with impossible precision. Each time the ship should have crashed, it turned perfectly, almost as if the air itself bent around it. Lyra's heart pounded. You're flying it like a god. Ethan didn't reply. His eyes were locked forward, glowing faintly from the ship's reflected light. It felt like the ship was whispering to him, soft voices in the back of his mind. They spoke in fragments, words he didn't understand, but he could feel their meaning. He wasn't flying alone. Suddenly, one of the enemy ships fired a heavy missile. It streaked toward them, glowing with red plasma. Lyra screamed, but before Ethan could react, the ship twisted by itself, faster than thought, and released a pulse of blue energy. The missile turned midair and shot back toward its origin, exploding in a flash that lit the entire sky. Lyra stared in disbelief. It protected itself. Through you, Ethan breathed heavily. No, not through me. With me. When the smoke cleared, they had escaped the fleet. The ship climbed higher, breaking through the upper atmosphere. The stars opened above them, bright, endless, and filled with mystery. Ethan looked at the vast blackness and whispered, Where do you want to go? The ship answered. A holographic map appeared in front of them, showing a cluster of ancient symbols all pointing toward one star system far beyond the known galaxy. The ship's voice filled the cabin again, calm, ancient, and hauntingly human. The key has returned. The gate shall open. Lyra turned pale. That phrase again. It's part of the old legends. The Gate of Origin is said to lead to the realm of the first builders. No one has ever found it. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Until now. But before they could change course, a warning flashed on the controls. The ship's energy levels were unstable. The core was awakening faster than the systems could handle. The ship was alive, but it was also unstable, dangerous. Lyra grabbed his arm. If you push it further, it could tear itself apart. Ethan shook his head. No, it's not dying. It's remembering. The light around them brightened, the air vibrating with strange warmth. Images began flashing in front of them, visions of a time long past. Cities of light, half human and half alien figures working together, ships flying through starlit gates. Then war, fire, the builders falling. A voice whispered, faint and sorrowful. We hid the key among the stars, until the day humanity would return. Lyra felt tears in her eyes. Ethan, I think your people were part of them. The builders didn't vanish. They became human. The ship steadied itself, hovering above the edge of space. The stars shimmered, and in the distance a faint circular object, massive and shining like a halo, appeared. Lyra stared, speechless. Is that the gate? Ethan smiled faintly. Looks like we've got a destination. The stars reflected in his eyes as the ship turned toward the unknown. Behind them, Varella's alarms rang across the planet, warning of the impossible. A human had awakened the ship of the gods, and it was leaving the world of aliens behind. The legend of the builders had begun again, and the galaxy was about to remember what humanity truly was. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, glittering like frozen fire. The ship drifted silently through the void, leaving Varela far behind. Inside, only the faint hum of the engines filled the air, a rhythm like a heartbeat. Steady, calm, alive. Ethan leaned back in the pilot's seat, his fingers hovering over the glowing controls. The symbols on the panels had changed again, now forming patterns that moved slowly like breathing light. He didn't understand them, but somehow he felt their meaning deep inside his mind. Lyra stood beside him, staring at the endless star map that surrounded them. Her silver eyes reflected the glowing projections. This ship is unlike anything in our history, she said softly. It's rewriting everything we thought we knew about the builders. Ethan turned to her, curious. You said before that your people thought the builders were gods. Why? Lyra took a slow breath. Because the builders made everything. The gates, the planets we live on, even the air we breathe. They shaped the stars with their hands and disappeared without a trace. My ancestors spent ages trying to find out where they went. But now, she paused, looking at him. Now I think I'm looking at one of their descendants. Ethan frowned. Me, I'm just a pilot, a human who fixes broken ships for a living. Lyra shook her head gently. No human should be able to command this ship. It was sealed for millions of years. And yet you woke it like it knew you. The ship's lights dimmed for a moment, and then a soft chime echoed. A holographic projection appeared between them, a figure cloaked in golden light. It looked humanoid, but its face was a mix of both human and alien traits. 2 eyes like Ethan's and markings like Lyra's across its forehead. Lyra stepped back in shock. That's a builder. The projection spoke in a calm, ancient voice. If you are seeing this, the key has awakened. We were not gods. We were dreamers. We joined with your kind, humans, to build a bridge between worlds. But fear destroyed us. Ethan stared, stunned. A bridge between humans and aliens? You mean the builders were half human? Lyra whispered. They weren't gods. They were both of us. The hologram continued, its tone sorrowful. When the war came, we hid our legacy. We left this ship for the day our children would return, to heal what we broke. Then the image flickered and vanished, leaving only silence. Ethan sat there, his mind spinning. So humans and aliens built all this together, and then turned against each other. Lyra nodded slowly. It explains why the ship responds to your DNA. You carry what my people lost. But before they could say more, the ship's alarms began to ring. The lights flashed red and the display showed incoming signals. Pursuers. Lyra gasped. It's the Virellan fleet. They tracked us through hyperspace. Outside, small flashes of light appeared. Dozens of alien ships surrounding them, weapons armed. The lead ship's voice came through the comms, harsh and full of anger. Unknown vessel, power down immediately. Human pilot, surrender or be destroyed. Ethan clenched his jaw. They still think I stole it. Lyra looked at him urgently. You have to listen, Ethan. They'll open fire. He shook his head, calm but firm. If this ship was made to bring our species together, I'm not letting it start another war. The controls glowed again, and the ship's outer shell shimmered like liquid metal. It expanded, sending out waves of energy that pushed the enemy ships back. Their weapons fired, but the beams bent away before they could hit. The builder ship wasn't just defending, it was adapting. Lyra stared in awe. It's protecting us. Ethan's hands tightened on the controls. No, it's protecting everyone. It's showing them it doesn't want to fight. Through the holographic display, they could see the alien commanders shouting in confusion. Their sensors couldn't read the human ship. It was beyond their technology. Then, without warning, the builder craft sent out a transmission, a beam of light carrying the same message over and over. We are the same. We are one. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. It's trying to remind them of what they forgot. For a moment, the fleet stopped firing. Silence filled the void. But then one commander, panicked and fearful, ordered an attack. Beams of red energy rained toward them. Ethan looked at Lyra, his voice quiet but steady. Guess they're not ready to believe. He pulled the controls. The ship spun sharply, evading the blasts, and disappeared into hyperspace with a streak of blue light. When they reappeared, they were far beyond known space. Alone, surrounded by stars no map had ever shown. Lyra exhaled, trembling. They'll call you a thief, a heretic, a danger to every world. Ethan looked out at the stars, his voice soft but determined. Then we'll find the truth before they find us. The ship pulsed again, and another image appeared, a giant ring-like structure hidden among the stars. The computer spoke one final message. The gate of origin awaits. The truth will be revealed there. Lyra turned to Ethan, her voice barely a whisper. That's where it all began. And maybe where it must end. Ethan nodded slowly, his eyes reflecting the starlight. Then that's where we're going. And as the ship vanished into the deep unknown, the galaxy held its breath. For the secret of the builders had been reborn, and humanity's forgotten past was finally awakening. The vast emptiness of space glowed with streaks of blue light as the ancient builder ship tore through hyperspace. The stars outside stretched into ribbons, and the hull hummed with energy like a living heartbeat. Inside the cockpit, Ethan sat focused, hands gripping the glowing controls, his eyes reflecting the endless light ahead. Lyra stood behind him, her silver eyes scanning the readings. The ship was faster than anything known to the galaxy, but not invisible. They're still tracking us, she said quietly. Their sensors must have locked onto your energy signature. Ethan frowned. So even when we run, they chase. They fear what you represent, Lyra replied softly. To them, you're proof that everything they believed about the builders is wrong. Ethan's gaze hardened. Truth doesn't die just because someone's afraid of it. Suddenly, warning lights flashed crimson across the cockpit. The radar displayed multiple signatures, enemy ships emerging from hyperspace behind them. The fleet had found them again. Dozens of Varellan fighters surrounded the ancient craft, their weapons already primed. Lyra's voice trembled. They brought the Royal Guard. They'll destroy you before letting you reach the gate. Ethan's tone turned calm, focused. Then they'll have to catch me first. With a flick of his hand, the builder ship's thrusters roared to life. The craft dove toward the glowing surface of a nearby planet, a gas world wrapped in swirling blue storms. Lightning flashed across its atmosphere like veins of fire. The alien ships followed close behind, firing plasma bursts that lit up the darkness. Ethan guided the ship through the upper layers of the storm. The winds screamed around them, waves of glowing gas crashing against the hull, but the builder ship responded like it was alive, adjusting every move with perfect precision. It twisted, rolled, and sliced through the chaos, weaving between bolts of lightning like a dancer. Lyra held on to the edge of the console. No ship could survive in this storm. Ethan smirked. Good thing this one isn't just a ship. Outside, the alien fleet struggled to follow. Their smaller craft spun out of control, pulled into the planet's violent gravity. Lightning ripped through their shields, one by one falling away into the glowing clouds. Only 3 warships managed to stay on their tail. Ethan tapped the controls and a strange pattern appeared on the screen. Symbols he hadn't seen before. What's this? He murmured. Lyra leaned over his shoulder. Her eyes widened. It's a defense code, written in builder script. It means echo mode. He activated it. The ship released a pulse of blinding blue light. For a moment the storm froze, silent and still. Then, from the light, 3 identical copies of the builder's ship appeared, each moving in perfect sync with the real one. The enemy fleet panicked. "Which one is real?" shouted their commander through the comms. Plasma fire erupted everywhere, hitting nothing but illusions. Ethan grinned. "That should buy us some time." Lyra stared in awe. "You made phantoms. The builders used this in their wars thousands of years ago. No one has seen it since." The ship sped out of the storm, breaking free into clear skies above the gas planet. The illusion ships vanished, leaving only the real one. Behind them, the remaining warships regrouped, still following but slower now. Lyra turned toward Ethan. "They'll never stop. You've proven humans can control builder technology. To them, that's blasphemy." Ethan's eyes stayed fixed on the stars. Then maybe they need to see what humans can really do. The ship's map lit up, displaying a faint energy signal ahead, a small moon covered in ancient ruins. The same builder symbols glowed across its surface, marking a hidden chamber. Lyra gasped. "That's a relay point. The builders used them to store knowledge across the galaxy. Maybe we can find answers there." Ethan nodded. "Then that's our next stop." He guided the ship toward the moon. The fleet followed, firing from behind. The blast rocked the hull, shaking the cockpit. Sparks flew from the panels and alarms screamed. "We can't take much more," Lyra shouted. Ethan clenched his jaw. "Hold on." He pushed the ship lower, diving toward the moon's surface. The ancient ruins grew larger, massive stone towers surrounded by glowing blue rings. As they neared, the ship's symbols reacted, glowing brighter. The builder ship sent out a deep pulse of light. The ruins on the moon responded, awakening after thousands of silent years. The ground cracked, releasing beams of energy that formed a massive shield dome above the ruins. The fleet's weapons hit the dome and disintegrated. They had found refuge. Inside the shield, Ethan landed the ship gently. The engines dimmed, humming quietly like a creature resting after a long battle. Lyra stood beside him, eyes wide. "You just awakened a builder outpost, one that's been dead for millennia." Ethan exhaled, staring at the glowing landscape outside. "Then maybe it's time we learned why it was buried." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice soft. "Ethan, this ship, this technology, it's not just about the past. It's about who you are. Maybe humanity wasn't the end of the builders. Maybe you're what they became." Ethan looked at her, thoughtful. "Then let's finish what they started." As the blue moonlight washed over them, the ground beneath began to tremble again. The ship's voice spoke, deep and ancient. "The key approaches the gate. Prepare for awakening." Lyra turned to him slowly. "Ethan, I think the gate of origin is no longer a myth." Ethan looked out into the stars. "Then let's make history." The engines flared back to life. The ship rose once more, carrying its 2 unlikely travelers toward a destiny written among the stars. A destiny that the galaxy had waited millennia to see fulfilled. The blue moon faded behind them as the builder ship soared through the silent void once more. Stars glittered across the black ocean of space, and the air inside the cockpit felt thick with tension. Something ancient had stirred within the ship, something that even Ethan could feel in his bones. Lyra stood beside him, her gaze locked on the holographic map floating before them. The glowing builder symbols pulsed faster now, aligning into one bright line that pointed toward a distant star cluster hidden behind a cloud of cosmic dust. "That's it," she whispered. "The gate of origin." Ethan's eyes followed the trail of light. "So that's where all this has been leading." Lyra nodded, her silver hair shimmering in the glow. "The last message from the builders said they hid the truth there. If they built the gates, maybe this one was their first and last." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Let's see what kind of truth they left behind." He pushed the controls forward. The ship's engines ignited with a deep hum, and they slipped into hyperspace once again, streaking through a river of stars. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time blurred inside the blue light. Then the ship suddenly slowed, shuddering as it exited hyperspace. Before them stretched a frozen world wrapped in silver mist. Above its surface hovered an enormous ring, so vast it could swallow a city. The gate of origin. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. "It's real." The ring glowed faintly, runes carved along its edge. Massive stone-like fragments floated around it, forming an ancient halo. Energy rippled through the structure like water struggling to flow again after ages of stillness. The ship's voice spoke, soft and calm, echoing through the cockpit. Key recognized. Initiating connection sequence. The lights around them dimmed. The runes on the ring blazed to life one by one. The entire gate began to tremble as golden energy arced between its pillars. Lyra's eyes widened. It's waking up. Ethan's hands tightened on the controls. Feels like it's calling something. The air around them vibrated, the hum growing into a deep, endless tone. A beam of light shot from the ship into the gate's center, creating a swirling vortex of blue and gold. Stars bent around it. Reality seemed to stretch and twist. Then the ship's systems flickered. Warning lights flashed red. Lyra gasped. Energy levels rising too fast. The ship's linking directly with the gate. It could overload. Ethan gritted his teeth. If I stop it, it might collapse. If I don't... Before he could finish, a shadow appeared on the radar. Dozens of Varellan warships emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the area like a swarm. The alien fleet had caught up. Lyra's voice trembled. They followed us again. Through the comms, a cold voice echoed. Humans, surrender the Builder relic. You have no right to command it. Ethan stared at the gate, its light swirling faster. No right? Tell that to the ship, it chose me. Lyra grabbed his arm. Ethan, they'll destroy the gate. They don't understand what it means. He glanced at her, determination hardening his face. Then we make them understand. Outside, the first blast fired. Beams of red plasma streaked toward them. But the builder ship's shields flared, forming a dome of golden light. Still, the power readings spiked dangerously. The gate began to pulse wildly, as if struggling between waking and breaking apart. Lyra's voice broke through the alarms. The ship's trying to stabilize it, but it's not enough. It needs more energy, something alive. Ethan's mind raced. He could feel the ship in his thoughts again, whispering, not with words, but with emotion. It wasn't asking for help. It was asking for trust. He placed his hand on the glowing console. All right, he whispered. Take what you need. The ship's light surged. Energy flowed from Ethan's body into the core, his heart sinking with its pulse. His vision blurred, and he felt like he was floating in endless blue light. The gate responded instantly, its rings spinning faster, releasing streams of golden fire into the stars. Lyra shielded her eyes. Ethan, you're merging with it. His voice echoed, distant but calm. I can feel them, Lyra. The builders. They're not gone. They left part of themselves inside the stars. The gate stabilized. The vortex in its center expanded into a shimmering portal, showing flashes of massive cities, endless green worlds and towering figures, humans and aliens working together in peace. Lyra's heart pounded. That's the memory of their world. The alien fleet stopped firing, awe spreading across every channel. For the first time, they saw the truth. The builders were never gods, never separate races. They were unity, but the ship's energy was fading fast. The lights flickered, the hull groaned. Lyra ran to Ethan's side. His body trembled, his skin faintly glowing from the connection. Ethan, stop, she pleaded. You'll die if you keep this up. He smiled faintly, eyes half closed. Someone has to hold it open. They need to see the truth. The portal shone brighter, sending waves of warmth across the void. Every alien ship powered down, their weapons forgotten. The gate's song filled the air, soft, hopeful, alive. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light dimmed. The ship went silent. The vortex slowly stabilized into a gentle golden glow. Lyra turned to the seat. Ethan was gone. Only faint sparks of blue light floated where he had sat. The ship's voice spoke one last time, calm and sorrowful. The key has fulfilled his purpose. The gate of origin is open. Lyra fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. Ethan? Outside, the gate shone like a new sun, spreading its light across the stars. For the first time in countless ages, the galaxy remembered what it once was. One people, one creation, one dream. And in the silence of space, a faint voice whispered through the comms. Ethan's voice. Tell them. The builders were human too. The gate of origin hung silent in the void, glowing like a newborn sun. Its golden light stretched across the stars, reaching worlds that had long forgotten its warmth. Every sensor, every ship, every being in the nearby systems turned their eyes toward it. History was changing, right before their eyes. Inside the builder ship, silence filled the cockpit. The hum that once pulsed through the walls was gone. The lights had dimmed to a soft blue glow and the air felt heavy, almost grieving. Lyra sat alone in the pilot's chair, staring at the empty space where Ethan once sat. The seat was still warm, faintly glowing with traces of his energy. She placed her trembling hand over it. "You opened the gate," she whispered, "and it took you with it." The ship's console flickered to life, displaying a faint pulse of light. The voice that spoke was calm, almost human. "The key lives. He walks beyond the gate." Lyra's eyes widened. "Ethan, he's alive." "Alive, but changed," the ship replied. "He has joined with the heart of the builders. The gate is now open to all who seek truth." Lyra felt tears sting her eyes. She looked out the window toward the enormous ring still spinning slowly above the planet. The energy around it shimmered gently, no longer chaotic but peaceful, like the heartbeat of the galaxy itself. Across the void, the Virilan fleet floated in silence. Their commanders, once ready to destroy, now watched the gate with awe and fear. The transmission that Ethan sent moments before he vanished, the builders were human too, still echoed across their comms. It was a truth no one could deny now. Lyra opened the comm channel. "To the Virilan Council," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "The war is over. The builders never left us. We are their legacy, both human and alien. If we keep fighting, we destroy what they built to unite us." For a long moment, there was only static. Then a deep voice answered, "And the human? What became of him?" Lyra looked at the gate, its golden light reflected in her eyes. "He became what the builders always were, a bridge between worlds." The channel went silent again, but no more shots were fired. Slowly, the alien ships lowered their weapons and drifted closer, not as enemies, but as witnesses. Lyra stood, her determination returning. "Ship," she said quietly, "can you take me through the gate?" The console glowed in response. "The path is open to those who believe. Are you ready to see what lies beyond?" She nodded. "Ethan opened it for us. I won't let his sacrifice be wasted." The engines hummed softly as the ship rose, gliding toward the gate. The closer it came, the brighter the light became, until the entire cockpit shimmered with gold. Lyra's heart pounded. Her world was changing forever. The ship crossed the threshold. For a moment, everything vanished, no sound, no stars, only pure light. Then slowly, the world around her took form. They emerged in another galaxy, a realm untouched by war. Massive floating cities shone beneath twin suns, and countless ships of human and alien design moved together in harmony. The air shimmered with a living energy that felt like peace itself. Lyra gasped, tears streaming down her face.
This is the builder's world."
A soft voice spoke behind her. "Welcome home." She turned, and there he was. Ethan stood at the edge of the platform, glowing faintly with the same light as the gate. His eyes held both humanity and something more, something timeless. "Ethan," Lyra whispered, stepping closer. "You're alive," he smiled gently. "I told you I'd find out the truth. The builders weren't gone, Lyra. They became part of the universe itself, energy, memory, and hope. They were waiting for us to remember who we are." Lyra reached out to touch his hand, and though he felt warm, he shimmered faintly, like light made solid. "Will you come back?" she asked. Ethan looked toward the endless sky. "Not yet. There's still work to do. The gate will stay open now, connecting your world to this one. The galaxy needs to heal. It's time humans and aliens rebuild together." Lyra nodded slowly, tears glistening in her eyes. "You gave us back our future," he smiled. "No, we did." The wind around them carried a soft hum, the song of the builders now alive once more. Ethan stepped back, fading into the light, his final words echoing through her mind. "Tell them. This is only the beginning." Lyra stood alone on the bridge, staring at the glowing horizon. The gate shimmered behind her, a golden ring connecting two galaxies, two species, and one shared destiny. She whispered softly, "He wasn't just a pilot. He was the spark the stars were waiting for." The builder ship hovered beside her, glowing stronger now than ever before. Its systems had awakened fully, alive with new purpose. Lyra stepped inside, her heart steady and her eyes full of light. "Let's go home," she said. The engines flared. The ship turned toward the gate, carrying the first ambassador of a new age. And as it passed through the golden ring, a voice, faint, distant, but unmistakably human, whispered through the stars. We are the builders. We never left. The gate of origin pulsed once more, sending waves of light across the galaxies. On every world, from the coldest moons to the brightest suns, beings looked up and felt it, a warmth they hadn't known before. Hope. The age of division had ended. The era of the builders had returned,